Hi, the Nikon D3. Love this camera. So I bought this. I used to have, when I first started out as a photographer, I had about 4 or 5 Canon DSLRs, semi-professional. And I'm not one of those who kind of like is either Canon or Nikon and sort of very biased about one or the other. I appreciate both for different things. But what happened was, it's a funny story really, I'd saved up £3,000, which was quite an achievement, for central heating because the house that I lived in only had this one gas heater downstairs and one upstairs, and I'd saved all this money for central heating. And then I remember saying to my friend, I was doing a photo shoot at a motorbike race, and I said, "Oh mate, can I borrow your camera?" And he said, "Yeah, go for it." So he lent me his D3. On my life, I didn't get central heating. I remember going swimming with my mum one day, and I was swimming along and I said, "Mum, I'm not getting central heating." She said, "What? Why?" I said, "I'm getting a camera instead." I just loved it from the minute I picked it up at that bike race. I just wanted one. And I didn't research anything, any other camera. I just borrowed it once, loved it, and went and bought one. Couldn't afford lenses. It was £3,000 for the body only. So I borrowed lenses for a few years until I could afford them. So what I love about the D3 is it is effortless in low light. So as a wedding photographer, oh my goodness, it's a godsend, honestly. If you've got weddings and things that are going on in low light conditions, the D3 is awesome. Like at 1000 ISO, it's completely noiseless, literally. It's just stunning. I also love, of course, that it's got space for 2 compact flash cards. So you can shoot, well, I shoot RAW plus RAW, so I'm always backing up. I've always got a RAW copy and a backup RAW copy. I used to shoot RAW plus JPEG because I loved like comparing the two. And then you've got one that's easily viewable, so you can get your card with the JPEGs off, view them easily, and then edit the RAW. So that's quite a handy way of doing it. But I'm just used to shooting RAW now, so I just prefer to have that backup of RAW. I suppose the only thing I would say is that it's quite a clunky sounding camera, and I've always wondered if the Canon equivalent is slightly quieter. So, for example, at a wedding, when you take a picture, it is quite loud. Definitely not enough to make me go for a different camera. If I could turn back time, I'd still choose the D3. But I remember this time at a wedding where the bride and groom had an owl flying through. To be honest, it was a photographer's nightmare because it was a beautiful wedding, but it was in a very dark barn with tiny, weeny little windows and hardly any light. And then they said, "Oh, we've got an owl flying down, holding the rings, flying down the aisle." And the owl will sit on the shoulder of whoever, I'm not sure, and then they'll take the rings, and it was like a surprise for all the guests because no one was expecting it. So I'm thinking, oh my life, a dark barn. I think it was in December as well, so it wasn't even light outside. Tiny windows, dark barn, already a nightmare. Then I've got to capture this owl flying down. Oh. Anyway, I thought it'll be fine. My D3 will be up for this low light conditions, and it did. It handled it really well. But of course, because I had to be far away from where the owl was swooping in, I needed a long lens, which of course you need more light for a long lens. And it's quite funny. I said to the bird of prey person, I said, "I'm a little bit concerned about the noise of my camera scaring the bird because I'm going to have to use burst mode, and it is literally going to sound like a machine gun, and won't it scare the bird?" And he said, "Oh no, it should be fine. The bird's quite used to like loud noises." So I thought, okay, rather you than me. So I did it, and the bird did get scared and it actually flew into the rafters in the, like, so it was open ceiling, you know, with the wooden beams. And as soon as I started click, 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 the bird just flew up there and wouldn't come down. So it was quite funny. But yeah, beautiful wedding. But if the camera was slightly quieter, maybe that wouldn't have happened. I can't say it was definitely my camera that scared the bird, but I think it might have been. So yeah, that's probably the only thing I've ever thought that I would change about the D3. Other than that, it's just such a lovely, reliable camera. I mean, I've had this now for, I don't know, it must be getting on for 15 years maybe. Let me just think. 25, easily 15 years. And it's never ever let me down. It's my trusty friend. So definitely recommend D3. Okay, stay tuned and I'll probably talk about more kit at some point. Have a good day. Bye. Hello. This is a bit of an update to this review that I actually recorded a year ago now. It was on my old channel. So I'm just sharing it again with a bit of an update because it was almost like I tempted fate, saying the D3 was my trusty friend, has never let me down. I actually had some focusing issues with it. So it was focusing on things behind what I was trying to focus on, if that makes sense. So I was doing a portrait shoot and I was focusing on the people, but it wasn't, it was focusing on the trees behind them. So I took it in to black on white in Bristol. Highly recommend them for sensor cleaning and servicing, and they had a look and they said that it was 8 points out, the focusing. Anyway, they sorted it out for one lens, but they said be aware that it could do it again on different lenses. So I took the camera away and, you know, carried on using it, but unfortunately I have had the problem again. So it's a little bit frustrating, but I've had some feedback since from somebody else saying, I think they said it was the Nikon D3X they didn't have that problem with. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. But obviously I've had the camera an awful long time before it had any issues whatsoever. And I've also just been getting to know my D800 now. And the D800 is a lot lighter obviously than the D3, not so good in low light of course. But yeah, stay tuned and you'll see some more videos of me using my D800. Just also wanted to say that a lot of these photos that I'm sharing are taken on my D3 with my favourite lens, which is my portrait lens, my Sigma 85mm 1.4, absolutely stunningly beautiful lens. And yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to do a review on the lens too. I'm going to upload, sorry, my old review. I'm just bringing over some videos from my old channel, so please bear with me if you've seen these before, but I just want to get all my photography videos in one place. So yeah, I would highly recommend the Sigma 85mm portrait lens. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.